think about where you are when you're in the flow state, when like time is flying and you don't even know what time is because you're just working on a problem, and then pursue similar projects like it, or find ways that you can go deeper into those areas, because that's your sweet spot right there. And if you can find a job doing that sort of work even 50% of the time, you are right where you are supposed to be.
Greetings. Welcome to Eric's Angle, the podcast for Iowa State mathematics students. I am your host, Eric Weber, chair of the mathematics department. Today's guest was almost an Iowa State alum, having been offered admission to our PhD program in 2020, but decided to stay in Tucson, Arizona. She is Alex Christensen, and she earned a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in applied mathematics from the University of Arizona. She is currently a product analyst for Ancestry.com. Her other mathematical interests include using data science techniques in nutrition and sports science. Please welcome Alex Christensen. Hi, Alex. Thanks for appearing on Eric's Angle.
Hi, Eric. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your story?
I would love to. My name is Alex. I'm currently working as a product analyst at Ancestry, and I went to undergrad in math and nutrition with minor in Spanish. And so I've always loved math my whole life. Decided I would go into college undecided, but like keep taking math classes. And eventually kind of fell into the major, went to grad school and got a master's in applied math via a PhD program, and got a job in a company I interned for and loved it. And so decided to stop the PhD and enter the workforce. So that's, in short, what brings me here today.
Yeah. So you started off undecided,
Yes.
but you liked math because you kept taking math classes.
Yep.
So what was
Yeah.
the appeal when you were taking those math classes?
I have always loved it. I like that there's a right answer. I like that it kept me kind of balanced between this world of like, okay, I was interested, maybe law, maybe I knew I wasn't going to be a creative writer, but maybe all of these other things. And then I had my math coding and very logical side. So that was the appeal. I just loved the thrill of solving the problems, getting the right answer. I thought it was really interesting. I liked the homework. It was way better than writing papers. So that's really what kept me in it. And I had some great professors along the way too.
Mhm. So we'll get into what you're doing now in your job here in a few moments, but I'm interested in the fact that you said that there's the right answer.
Mm-hmm.
And when as I think about career opportunities for students outside of academia, there's rarely the right answer.
It's true.
So, yeah,
True.
say a little bit about that.
Totally. Yeah, I think on paper, math does always, it's like, black and white, right or wrong. I have also learned that sometimes it's more of an art than a science. And I have found that I really enjoy the problem solving piece and coming to a resolution, or trying different angles to solve the problem. To me, searching for this maybe elusive right answer, that process is fun. And when you find it, if there is one, even better. But I totally agree. Sometimes in our real world problems, it's not always as easy as we hope on the exam.
Hmm. And there's probably there is a time limit, like
Yes.
you said that you had started a PhD program, so you have some research experience.
Yep.
Research doesn't really operate on a timeline,
Yes,
but
that's
what you
correct.
do now does.
Yes. Yep. And that's one of the things that I love about it. I think with research, there's awesome problems to solve, but I wanted a to-do list that I could check off. And sometimes with research, you don't have, you can think all day and you're like, well, I found a lot of ways it didn't work, but the actual progress forward feels different. So yeah, that's what I love about working now is I have timelines, I have deadlines, I have deliverables to my boss and my coworkers and my team. So that is something that I love the structure of.
So a little bit about having timelines and deliverables to your boss. What about your math training has been really helpful for you in that regard? And what are some places where there may have been gaps in your math training that you had to learn along the way?
Totally. I think learning by doing is the best way to learn. So I went in and I didn't know everything that I needed to. But what I was prepared for was kind of working sometimes under pressure. Like sometimes you really just have to manage your time well and prioritize well, and understand when you've hit a roadblock. So that's something I learned quickly in my math, especially grad school when I'm just spinning my wheels, I've now quickly learned when I've thought hard about the problem and need to go resource to other things. So even in math, right, you have office hours, you have your professors, you have your peers asking for help when you need it and stopping the spinning of the wheels, I think is like one of the best skills that I've learned because now I'm efficient and I work hard and think hard, but I also know how to use my resources. And that's something that I think struggling on a proof for hours and hours taught me how to do.
Right. So when you first decided to pursue math as a major as an undergraduate, what were you thinking long term for your career? Did you
Great
have
question.
anything in mind?
Yeah, great question. I didn't know. I think I'm in the similar boat as many where I was like, well, I like teaching, but I don't know if I want to be a professor. I guess I'll just start research. But one thing that I did know was like eventually I wanted to use data or math to solve real world problems. So I wanted to take it and go play in these different other interest areas, so whether it be law, whether it be sports, whether it be food, can I take the math that I learned and put it there? So that was like the end goal, but I didn't know how to make it happen really, besides maybe just in research.
Mhm. And does that, do you have that now in your position at Ancestry? Do you have exactly that where you're taking data, you're trying to solve real world problems? Do you have that experience?
That's the experience that I'm having and I'm loving it. Yeah, my problems are very, I'm thinking about people. I'm using their data, but I'm thinking about people and I'm thinking about a product and I'm thinking about higher level things, and using my skills that I learned via math, to answer hard questions.
So, is there a particular variety of math that comes to mind as you think about these problems?
Yeah, I do a lot of statistics. So I do some modeling, and some like, yeah, statistical methods where you're looking at standard deviations between different things. I also, and this is a different kind of a newer form of math, but the machine learning and the data visualization. So that's a lot of my job is looking at coding, assembling a data set, and then visualizing it or modeling it. So, and that's something that I was drawn towards an undergrad as well. Although I do miss calc actually. I was really drawn to that data side, in the math world as well.
So the visualization, so that's something that we talk about somewhat in statistics, but data science as well. And there's one math class that we're trying for future math teachers that we're exposing them to some data science curriculum to help them think about maybe even teaching data science at the high school level.
Cool.
And
Yeah.
visualization, yeah,
Yeah.
visualization is one of the main objectives that we have. But that's not really something that we think much about in mathematics. I mean,
Right.
visualizing data, that we have illustrations and so forth. So, I'm
Yeah.
wondering, like, from your perspective, does this feel more like a creative endeavor, the visualization part?
I would say yes. It's the kind of creativity and art that I guess the one that I like, because you have a lot of flexibility in how you choose to approach the problem. From what data am I even going to include? How am I going to answer the question? And so, yeah, it's kind of like when you're using different equations to solve or different tools, different theorems to solve the problem. Like I'm choosing what different data points, what different tools in my toolbox I have to use to create my quote unquote solution. And in some cases, that's a nice picture of the data and the trends.
So you started a PhD program, so you had some exposure to research. So that was something of a draw. What was the draw there?
Yeah. So my first exposure to research was actually in undergrad. I did an REU, so the research experience for undergrads, and that was amazing. I loved it and would totally recommend to anyone who has the chance. It was like math summer camp where you were just with a bunch of friends, like solving problems together on whiteboards. It was so fun. So I thought coming out of that, I loved the research. And I really loved the people part of it. So I was like, okay, I'm graduating college. We're in a pandemic. I'm going to go and do more school because I don't know what I want to do for my career yet. And I liked the research part in undergrad. And I also just had some new things that I wanted to learn. So that was kind of the appeal of I love school and I would take classes forever because the class part's really fun. It was a good next step for me, and my previous research experience to that point was really fun.
Hmm. Well, I have to reveal to the audience that I've known you your whole life.
Yeah.
So my daughter and you were born around the same time. Your parents and me and my wife were friends way
Yeah.
back when I was in graduate school.
I know.
I know about your family, and I wanted to bring up the fact that your sister also pursued a math major at
Yeah.
UCLA, and your brother is now pursuing a math degree on top of an engineering degree at University of Washington. So, what's that like having siblings that are just all moving in that same direction?
It's fun. It's fun because we're all doing it, but we're all doing it with our own spin. My siblings and I and my parents, as you know, we're all kind of this type A math brain. But it's fun because we apply our interests differently. So my sister did math econ, and that was her major, and she really liked applying it to like economical problems, which I think is super interesting and haven't gotten into. And my brother's doing this like engineering and really loving this biochem biomedical side. So that's another way to apply it. So it's been fun. It's cool. I like to help my brother with his assignments sometime or have him show me the cool things he built in MATLAB. Um, because I'm always learning too. So it's really fun.
Yeah. And what's your sister doing now?
Now she actually works at a law firm. So she is not using the math part of her degree, but is helping kind of do trainings for internal trainings for those members of her law company.
Hmm. So she wouldn't say she's doing any math in her role.
I don't think she would say she's doing any math. Nope. Besides maybe like if it's an hour, then it goes from 9 to 10 a.m. We can't escape math,
She's
unfortunately.
doing math with billable hours.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
So, yeah, tell us little bit more about your transition from an academic environment to an industry environment.
Yeah.
What was that like for you?
It was, I think, a positive transition for me. I kind of had a slow or a gradual transition into it because I was an intern. My graduate program was really supportive of during the summer you getting internships at national labs or with companies, or like if you wanted to continue to do research because that was your passion at the time, do research. So I had the opportunity to do an internship almost every summer of undergrad as well as grad school. And in grad school, I found my company or the company I'm at now. And so that kind of gave me like, I could dip my toes in, see if I liked it, and then pivot. I loved it. So I lucked out in the sense of that first internship I loved and I returned the following year. But I think the exposure at any company would have helped me see like, okay, like these are the things that I like. I like the deadlines. I like the team aspect. I like the socializing and the problems um, of being in the workforce and the things that I learn on the job.
Cool. Yeah, that's great. Um, do you ever feel like some of it is adjacent to research? I mean, because you're dealing with things that are open-ended, right? There isn't necessarily the right answer and, the places that that leads to. So do you get that sense in what you're doing now?
Yes, I do. Both in the problems. I was just in a quote unquote office hour before I joined this call with a subject matter expert on our team about like PCA analysis. So I'm still learning, still using these things, and that's fun. So the research side I see in how are we going to solve the problem? And also on our team, we think of new ways to solve the problem. So I have some teammates who really love, they still continue doing research. And one of them in particular, he always presents us of like, I learned this new thing, or Netflix is doing this new thing. How can we use it here? So there's always room to break barriers in that way and kind of push through the old routine and research something new in the day to day.
Hmm. So do you have any words of advice for math majors at Iowa State University?
I let me think. I would say enjoy it, first of all. I'm excited. Like, I'm excited you're there. I'm excited you're here in our math world. Um, and be proud of it. I would say explore, explore internships, explore opportunities, shadow. I remember when I was thinking about what to do, I reached out to you, Eric, and said, like, hi, like I know you're in this world. What do you see as career potentials? Make connections. And I think trying new things, especially when it comes to research projects or your areas of interest, is so worth it. You know, it doesn't have to be permanent, but do a month project on something you love or something you think you might like, and see what's out there because there's a lot to be explored, both from a career perspective and just like a personal growth perspective as well.
Mm-hmm. So what you're saying is that there's a lot of different directions math majors can go in, and there's a lot of opportunities, and being exposed to those is very helpful when it comes to trying to navigate a career, and especially in the early stages,
Yeah.
navigating a career, finding a career, and just going for it.
Yeah, totally. Totally. And one other piece I would say, I, and this was something that was given to me, but think about where you are when you're in the flow state, you know, when like time is flying and you don't even know what time is because you're just working on a problem. Think about what you're doing when you're in that state and then pursue similar projects like it or find ways that you can go deeper into those areas because that's your sweet spot right there. Um, and if you can find a job doing that sort of work even 50% of the time, you are you are right where you are supposed to be.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. I like thinking about it in the same kind of way where what are you doing when you lose track of time?
Mm,
Um, because clearly you're passionate about that, to lose
exactly.
track of time. It's a great way to formulate that.
Exactly.
Well, Alex, this has been fantastic catching up and having you appear on this podcast. So, if you've got any last words for our audience, I'll open
Um,
the floor.
yeah, thank you for having me. Also, I don't know how we can figure out what format this is coming, but feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to talk about any specifics. And we're all one big community. So
Yeah.
if there's anything that I can do to help you, Eric, or any of your students or anyone here listening, I'm happy to do it, and we can all learn from each other. So
Fantastic. Thanks again.